Our resource speaker is a professor at the Institute of Biological Sciences, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He has received tons of paper awards in environment, in botany, in ecology. He has a wide array of research interests, including ecology and systematic botany, biogeographic zones, biodiversity hotspots and conservation, participatory biodiversity assessment strategies, dynamics of human-disturbed ecosystems, landscape ecology, wild plant domestication, ethnobotany, medical botany, systematic and developmental morphology and anatomy. Welcome, UP scientist and Professor Dr. Inocencio E. Buot Jr.
So I'll be talking about Satoyama landscapes in transition, because you see, we always think of the ideal Satoyama landscapes, and the ideal may not always be around. So therefore, it would be good to think of transition Satoyama landscapes as well. But before anything else, I would like to emphasize about what Satoyama really is. It's a physical landscape. There is a structure. So it is physical. So we are not imagining anything here. So this is a physical landscape with a form, with a structure, and with a mindset that could be felt. There is an aura that we could feel. It's a way of life. So this is Satoyama, okay? In the past, the theme in the rural landscape was always harmony. So that has always been harmony since the beginning. Harmony, harmonious relationship, harmonious interaction, feeling of security all around, a beautiful landscape, a beautiful place to live in. Is it a dream? In the past, it was like that. And several publications published in index journals had documented the harmonious relationships between nature and society in the past. So these are sample papers on harmonious relationships between humans and nature in the past. But there was unprecedented rise in population throughout the world, not only in the Philippines, not only in Asia, but throughout the world. And then the Anthropocene. What is Anthropocene? It is an epoch starting around 1950, replacing the Holocene. And it is characterized by a landscape dominated by humans, causing damage, aggravating climate change impacts. So that was starting in 1950. We have several publications about the Anthropocene, but this has been highlighted so much between 2015 and now. So Anthropocene has been discussed a lot in many academic circles since 2015, but it had been there since 1950. And you see, in the Anthropocene, because we need more resources, we need more natural resources, massive cutting of trees were observed. And it was very frequent, leading to loss, extinction of species, leading to the loss of plants, animals, and many unseen microorganisms. And in fact, degradation of the forest resources resulted to landslide, erosion, and bioinvasion, as you must have witnessed in your own surroundings, in your own vicinities. And of course, the destruction of our water bodies, the seascapes, polluting the rivers, eutrophication of the lakes, siltation and nutrient loading in coastal areas, leading to proliferation of red tide organisms, and many other disastrous events because of the cutting of trees. Why is this so? Because nothing will absorb nutrients from the ground anymore. And therefore, the nutrients will flow into the rivers, polluting into the rivers, and then go to the lakes, and triggered the eutrophication of the lakes, and then nutrient loading in coastal areas, and many more that happened. On the left side is the most recent publication about seascapes by Taylor and Francis. And here, seascape has been defined in many different ways by different authors of the different chapters of the book. I hope you would be able to surf this book on the internet, and there are lots of available networks. So please try to search, and there are lots of ideas about the seascapes. There is an inclusive definition of seascapes, including river vicinities, lake vicinities, and aside from the coastal areas, the traditional definition of our seascape. Back to our Satoyama, you see, because of the destruction of the upland forest of the Satoyama landscape, there is massive land use conversion as well, followed by Satoyama landscape degradation, unfortunately. And you see, with that destruction of the landscape, the worldviews about human and his or her environment had been changed as well. So the cultural orientation towards nature has been changed. Human is not, in the pre-literate era, there was mutual relationship where human is never set apart from nature, but is always part of a single order consisting of humans, nature, and the gods. However, this time during the Anthropocene, human is dominant over nature, and the natural resource has become an entity to be dominated and manipulated by humans for his or her own advantage. The consequences: species loss and extinction, as documented by so many authors, and these are some of the popular publications documenting species loss and extinction. You have Myers, 1988, 1990, and 2003. Megadiversity countries becoming biodiversity hotspots, of Mettermeyer, 1999, and Myers of 2000. Protected areas were established with huge number of conservation refugees. What are conservation refugees? These are people who had been displaced because of the establishment of the protected areas. Do we just have to stop establishing protected areas? By all means, no, of course, because we want to protect ecosystem processes. We want to protect ecosystem structure. And once we maintain ecosystem structure, we sustain ecosystem processes as well. And so therefore, there is something necessary, essential to address this concern. Then there is warming of the environment, food and water insecurity, and stresses for the inhabitants. So these are problems, that has resulted because of the destruction of the environment. And more than the loss of the species and the warming of the environment, there was the global erosion of the Satoyama culture and the Satoyama spirit. Remember, in my first or second slide, there was the physical structure of the Satoyama. And this physical structure, the forest, the farm, and the village, and they should always be one. One is dependent on the other. The farm is dependent on the forest. The farm is dependent on the village for cultivation, for care. And the village, of course, dependent on the farm and the forest. So the physical landscape with a structure has been, with feeling, with an aura, has been lost as well. People feel uneasy and unhealthy. So that was the result. Unknowingly, maybe because of the lack of the Satoyama spirit they were used to have in the past. So people start craving for a healthy lifestyle. They dance the Zumba. They do fitness program. yoga, and many more. No, you can name it, and there are lots. In fact, many of you may be having some of this, no, as part of your healthy lifestyle. And I project this must be because of the very stressful environment that we are into. Perhaps people just want to be one with themselves, or may have unknowingly felt the lack due to the loss of the Satoyama spirit. Okay, so people wanted to have good, organic, and healthy food. And you can feel this crave, no? The craze and the craving of the people for healthy, organic. So they buy organic food, no matter how expensive they are, they buy this organic food. And then you have this organic farming. And you see organic farming movement. I don't know when has this started, but in fact, I think this is a response to the so many needs of people for healthy harvest and healthy food. And at the UP Open University, we offered the organic agriculture as a short course. And I think it's still going on right now. And I think we offered that sometime in 2013, 2014, or 2015, the organic agriculture. So it's a very cheap course, a semester course of organic agriculture. And it is anchored on the principle of health, principle of ecology, principle of fairness and equity, and the principle of care. The principle of health, because they want to avoid inorganic or destructive, maybe not really inorganic, but destructive inputs. Destructive inputs like pesticides, like animal drugs, or food additives that may have some adverse effects on the health and the environment. They want to sustain a healthy environment for the plants and the animals they are raising. And then the principle of ecology, they want to stabilize ecological systems, ecological cycles, biogeochemical cycles, and emulate the ideal ecological system. Principle of fairness, there has to be common, there has to be fairness, there has to be equity of the benefit that we can give and we can get from the environment and the life processes as well, provided by our environment or the ecosystems. And then the principle of care, because we want to care for the population who would like to buy our goods, and therefore we need to be on tiptoe always in raising our products so that it will be good, and it will be good not only for this generation, for the next generation as well, and for the generation of your children and grandchildren. Many people crave for organically produced food, and many try to grow their own organic vegetables and herbs for daily use at home. Maybe at some point they just want to be one with their gardens or one with nature as well. They want to produce their own vegetables with the environment-friendly inputs. I've heard a lot of my colleagues, my friends, that they do not want to buy vegetables from the market anymore. They just want to grow their own in their own home. So something like that. And of course, more of organic rice being our staple. In organic farming, people grow crops the natural way. And I would rather think that practicing organic agriculture will gradually enhance respect for nature, because you do not use inputs that would destroy your farm and that would be destructive to nature and the neighborhood, because you want to care for your neighborhood. and paved the way towards living the Satoyama way of life, as discussed earlier and the past several episodes of our webinar series. And then there is another movement. Actually, this was discussed by Dr. Flores also in the past. This is the permaculture movement. What is permaculture, by the way? Maybe literally, we can just define permaculture as permanent cultivation, permanent culture of crops, permanent culture of animals. So we call that permaculture. And permaculture has 12 principles to adhere to. So you have here the 12 principles, and these are classified into 4 more broad principles of diversity, interaction, creativity, and innovation, and adaptive management, according to Ferguson and Lovell of 2014. Ferguson is is one of the top authorities of permaculture. So in the principles they are adhering to, there is diversity of crops and animals in the farm that you will be establishing. There should be interaction. There should be creativity as well of the design according to contexts, according to the place context, according to cultural context, and everything. It should be contextual, and there has to be adaptive management. Whatever you have in the area, you will always be adapting based on local value systems. Permaculture has been documented in several publications already, about 230 publications as of 2014. In journals, in form of thesis, books, periodicals, proceedings, chapters of books, reports, and many other documents documenting permaculture landscapes in the entire world. Permaculture is a holistic living in harmony with nature worldview, as well as a technical approach to farming both plants and animals. And permaculture versus organic farming, both are rooted in ecological principles and aspire to be in harmony with nature. So this is about permaculture, an organic farming movement. I am inclined to interpret that organic agriculture and permaculture movements with the resulting farm landscapes represent the transition Satoyama phase aimed towards living in harmony with nature. I have not known of any other movements or farming designs like organic agriculture and permaculture movements aiming to be in harmony with nature, which could be included in this transition Satoyama phase. If you know of one, then let us know so that we would be able to include this as well as one of the transition Satoyama phases, aiming to establish living in harmony with nature. Well, at first, this could be purely physical, perhaps, with no emotions attached, no aura that has been observed in the past Satoyama landscapes, in the original Satoyama rural landscapes. But this is a very good leap already, a very good leap, a huge stride towards what we are aiming for, which is living in harmony with nature. One step at a time, sabi nga nila. So, transition Satoyama landscapes, you see, people had always been wanting, people had always been wanting to be with nature. In organic agriculture and in permaculture, people are trying their best to be nearer to nature, to be nearer to be maybe a bit one, no, with nature. So one day they are hoping they will really be one with nature. It might be taking so long. No, we cannot just be expecting it too soon. There are so many forces that would be acting here before we will be able to arrive at that vibrant working landscape with vibrant Satoyama spirit and Satoyama way of life of the villagers observed in the past. But approaching near the harmonious state requires a deep understanding by all people of the 4 laws of ecology according to Barry Commoner. And what are these 4 laws of ecology that has been laymanized by Barry Commoner, one of the foremost ecologists of the US that had been really working on laymanizing ecology. So all are interconnected. That is one law that has been espoused by Barry Commoner. All are interconnected. So what is happening here will also be happening in the other part, and the other part will be affected. If this part is experiencing pain, it will also be painful at the other end because they are connected, they are interconnected. Nature knows best, and because nature knows best, you have to consult with nature what to grow in this particular area, which means that you cannot just grow what you want. No, you cannot just grow anyone. You cannot just erect this residential community wherever you want, but you have to ask nature. And there are so many indications. If the slope, the topography is very steep, then nature would not want you to establish residential areas because that would be prone to landslide and that would be prone to disaster. So it's like that. Nature knows best. You have to study nature so that you will know the will, no, the will of nature. And then the 3rd law of ecology, according to Barry Commoner, there is no such thing as free lunch. Everything you pay. There is no such thing as free lunch. So therefore, if you have cut a tree, then you have to pay. Nothing will absorb nutrients from the ground, and therefore that nutrient that is supposed to be absorbed, allocated for absorption to that particular tree which you have cut, will really have to go to the river, pollute the river, and you will not be able to drink the water of the river because it is polluted. You see, there is no free lunch. You have to pay, and therefore you have to buy mineral waters. You have to buy mineral water are polluted already. So you buy your bottled waters, and that we are doing right now. The world is doing that. And when can we be free from the use of mineral water? You have to ask yourselves. And we can do something about this. Everything goes somewhere. This is another law of Barry Commoner. Everything goes somewhere. If you throw waste, a hazardous waste in that particular area, it has to go somewhere else. It goes to the water bodies, and then the tilapias and all the fish that you are going to eat one day will have to absorb all of those waste which you have thrown away somewhere else. So everything will go somewhere. So these are the 4 laws of ecology of Barry Commoner, very practical laws of ecology. And you can just use the acronym ANN, no? The acronym of Miss Anne. Actually, I never knew because our moderator for this webinar, our able moderator, si Anne, actually, but Anne has been there for a long time in my lectures, in my classes, so that it would be easier for the students to remember The Four Laws of Ecology by Barry Commoner. All are interconnected. Nature knows best. No free lunch, and everything goes somewhere else. And you see, we are hoping that the relationship between humans and nature will be somehow getting better, nearing mutual relationship. But we have to understand that for this to take place, there will be several hurdles and several challenges, and therefore we just have to understand and keep on working and holding on and clinging on and always supporting one another, and never falter, because it will always be like that. But our goal will always be there, to live in harmony with nature one day. Barry Commoner, in his book on the Closing Circle in 1971, calls everyone to reflect on the pre-literate worldview that is the oneness of humans, nature, and their gods. This is difficult, easier said than done. But I know if we will try, organic agriculture and permaculture, the transition Satoyama faces, as we have interpreted as of now, might not be enough. There might be a need, There might be a need for other frameworks to facilitate the healing of the landscape, the healing of the disturbed, degraded landscape that we are living right now. And so there is the birth of the new conservation science. Have you heard of this? The new conservation science, a very interesting science, human-centered science. So this has come to highlight in 2012 with the publication of Karyeva and colleagues in two journals, the Bioscience and the Breakthrough Journal. You see, in this publication, Karyeva and colleagues had been showing to us, illustrating to us, demonstrating to us why they have come to realize and why they have proposed conservation science from conservation biology. Conservation biology, which has been there since 1980s, is on your left diagram. And you have the conservation science proposed in 2012 by Karyeva and Marvier and colleagues in 2012. So you have here the conservation biology, which is an interdisciplinary field of the biological sciences. So you have here ecophysiology, environmental monitoring, you have genetics, population biology, natural resource fields, physiology, island biogeography, historical biogeography, hazard evaluation, and of course, the social science is being included here in the original concept of conservation biology in the 1980s. But conservation science has realized, because of the sustained loss of biota in the wilderness, they have realized that conservation science should need a new concept. Conservation biology is still there. All the interdisciplinary fields of biology still included here under conservation biology, with the addition of economics, agriculture, anthropology, communications. We need experts in communications to highlight our advocacies and to convince, to lemonize what we have, which we cannot lemonize. So we need communication experts. We need psychologists. We need sociologists. We need climate science experts, because climate science problems have escalated, no? Escalated during these past decades. We need public health experts because public health has been encroached with so many diseases. Lately, we have the pandemic, and then you have public policy because all our proposals have to be turned into policy. So therefore, we need policy experts. Scientists may not be able to present properly how to make a policy, a good policy paper. And then we need ethics to determine whether we are still on the right track. We need sustainable development experts. And of course, we need donors. Philanthropy is included in the new conservation science. We need help from corporate world. And we need their money. Now, if we have to be blunt about it, we need their money to pursue our conservation activities. Okay, so that is our new conservation science, very revolutionary. And you will see here, conservation biology from 1980 to 2011 has been interdisciplinary, but you will see the conservation science is interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary, because conservation science will always consider the stakeholders, the right holders, the policymakers, the business sectors to help out, create livelihood opportunities for the locals, because that is the main weakness now of the scientists, creating sustainable livelihood programs for people living in the vicinities of protected areas. And of course, at the global level, we have another model, the International Partnership for the Satoyama Initiative. So this has been approved, actually. The initiative has been approved in 2010 at the Conference of the Parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity as a global conservation initiative, and to conserve working landscapes, the forest, the village, and the farms. And the main concept of the Satoyama Initiative, or the IPSI, or the International Partnership for the Satoyama Initiative, is conservation of the working landscapes. And what are these components of the working landscapes? The humans, their farms, and the nature around them should be living in harmony for better resiliency and higher productivity. So this is the main, the fundamental concept of what Satoyama Initiative is. And this was outright approved by the officials of the Conference of the Parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity in 2010. And we have the framework for the Satoyama Initiative. The main vision is societies in harmony with nature. Very humble, yet very ambitious, no? Societies in harmony with nature. And you have the threefold approach, how to attain our vision: consolidation of the wisdom on securing diverse ecosystem services and values, integration of local, traditional, ecological knowledge, and modern science. So we integrate, no? Because you see, science is advancing now. We are approaching Society 5.0. We call this a smart society, a human-centered smart society with several smart technologies. And therefore, we have to integrate the traditional ecological knowledge with this upcoming artificial intelligence that would be one of the features of the Society 5.0 era. And then the third one is exploration of new forms of co-management systems. So we are always open. The Satoyama Initiative is always open to new ideas, the Satoyama initiative recognizes that with the advancement of knowledge, there is advancement of technology, and therefore there is advancement of concepts and co-management approaches, which we are quick to adapt if it would be applicable in our own context. And we have here the 6 ecological principles and perspectives of the Satoyama initiative: resource use. With the carrying capacity, we use the resource, but we have to observe carrying capacity. We do not exhaust carrying capacity. We use or we practice ecotourism, but we have to understand the carrying capacity of the land that we are implementing ecotourism. Cyclic use of natural resources, because if we use it only once, it will be polluting several parts of the environment. So we use it several times. We repurpose it several times so that we can make use of it before finally integrating it with our environment. And then you have the recognition of local traditional culture, and then multi-stakeholder participation and collaboration, because as I have said here, it has to be transdisciplinary. So just like the other frameworks we have discussed earlier, IPSI is transdisciplinary, very transdisciplinary. Contributions to sustainable socio-economies and improved community resilience. These are the principles and perspectives of the Satoyama initiative. In 2002, the Food and Agriculture Organization started another initiative for the dynamic conservation of globally important agricultural systems. We call this the GIAS, Globally Important Agricultural Heritage Systems, or GIAS, for food and livelihood security now and of course for the future generation. What are these GIAS sites? These are sites, these are localities with very rich culture, sustainable harvesting of the resources, where culture is very prominent. Like in the Philippines, for example, we have the Ifugao rice terraces has been declared a GIAS site, globally important agricultural heritage system site. And you have here the framework of our GIAS, where the main menu here is co-evolution between ecological processes and socio-economic patterns. You have here the unique features of these GIAS, the unique features of GIAS. You have biodiversity, you have agrobiodiversity, good social organization, you have traditional knowledge, you have low input technologies, you have locally adaptable food processing and storage technologies. And of course, you have the replicable principles and processes here, multiple use of the landscape, in situ conservation of plant genetic resources. Many people had been complaining that their local heirloom varieties had been disappearing, but GIAS would like to conserve. The new conservation science would like to conserve. The Satoyama initiative would like to conserve these local genetic resources. And then you have adaptation to harsh environments, resiliency of production systems, and sustainable utilization of agrobiodiversity and natural resources. So the new conservation science, the international partnership for the Satoyama initiative, the globally important agricultural heritage system concepts and frameworks are very good holistic models, encouraging interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary collaboration among scientists, stakeholders, right holders, policymakers, and business sectors, supporting organic agriculture and permaculture to pursue our initial approach to be one with nature from our current Satoyama transition phase. And you will see here on the left photo, this is the Mayoyaw Rice Terraces, a UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. FAO's, the Food and Agriculture Organization's GIAS site, showing a near perfect human-nature interaction. You will see here the forests managed by the local people. You have the farms here, and you have the village. This is in Mayoyaw, and not really perfect. That's why I said a near perfect, but people are really trying their best. You see, maintaining a forest, they sustain the forest because they believe, they recognizes the role of the forest that has trickle-down effects, the nutrients for their farms, the water for their farms, and for their home use. So this is the landscape that we are aiming for, actually, throughout the globe. And we are now on our initial approach. When you travel, the plane is about to land. Remember, sabi nila, we are now on our initial approach to a particular airport. You see? So we are just pursuing our initial approach right now through the organic agriculture and permaculture movement, the transition Satoyama state that we are in right now. So I hope all of us will be clinging on as we travel towards that main goal of being one with nature. And remember, and this has to inspire everyone, we are now on our initial approach to that goal. Thank you so much.